Hello and welcome to the 35th video in the PHP e-commerce series. My name is Curtis and this is Free Skills. Well, in this video what I want to do is start to fill in the front end of the site a little bit more. And right here on the front page we have these right sidebar and left sidebar. In this video we're going to concentrate on the right sidebar. We're just going to add a couple widgets that are very simple to do. What I want to do is have an overview of the items in our shopping cart, and then a link to our shopping cart, and then also a widget that shows recent popular items. Okay, so in order to do this, let's go ahead and jump into the code. And what I want to do is let's go ahead and close our admin. In our includes, I'm going to add a new folder, and I'm going to call that widgets. Okay, and inside of there, I'm going to add a new file called cart.php. Okay, I'm also going to add a new file, and we're going to call that recent.php. Okay, and then we're also going to go ahead and open up our rightbar.php, which right now it just simply has right bar printed in. But we're going to take care of that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and build the cart widget first, and in order to do this, we're going to go ahead and give this an h3 tag, and we'll say class equal text center, and then we will go ahead and close our h3. And this is just kind of convention I'm going to have for the widgets. So we'll say shopping cart, and then what I want to do is we're going to have a div. So we're going to put everything here in a div. Okay, so give ourselves a little space there. And what I want to do is inside of our div, I want to go ahead and open PHP, and we'll do a check here. I want to say if empty cart ID. So if cart ID is empty, then I want to, and actually we're going to go ahead and do this syntax here because we're going to output some HTML. We'll say we'll just go ahead and do an else statement here as well. Okay, we'll go down a few more lines and we're going to end if. Okay, alright, so if the cart ID is empty, what do we want to do? Well, we're just going to go ahead and do a paragraph tag here. So we'll do a p tag, open and close it, and inside of that we're just going to print out your shopping cart is empty. Okay, so let's go ahead now and add this widget to our right bar. So right here in our right bar, let's get rid of this right sidebar, and let's just skip down a few lines, and we will open PHP, and we're going to include, I'll just skip down a few lines here, and we will include widgets / cart.php. Save that. Let's go ahead and refresh this page here. And so now right here in the right sidebar we have this shopping cart, and then it just says your shopping cart is empty. Now if I add something to my shopping cart like this purse, you see that your shopping cart is empty, is gone because of that if-else statement. So let's jump back to our cart file here, and let's get going on this if we have items in our shopping cart. So if we have items in the shopping cart, we're just going to do a query. So we're going to do cart queue, and we will do db query, and we'll say select, which by the way, this needs to be all of this needs to be inside of our if statement. So we'll go ahead and put this here. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Alright, so we're going to run our query. We're going to say select all from cart where ID is equal to cart. Now remember, this cart ID is being set in our init.php. So now we have our query. So let's go ahead now and grab those results. So the results are going to be a MySQLi fetch associative array. We're going to pass it in cart Q. Okay. Then we'll just grab items here, and we'll say our items are equal to JSON decode. And then what are we going to decode? Well, we want to grab results. Oops. And we're going to grab the items, and we're going to set that to true so that we get an associative array back. We're also going to we're going to do a for loop here, so we're going to create an iterator, and we'll just call that I, and we're going to set that equal to 1. Okay. We're also going to create a subtotal. We're going to set that equal to 0. Alright, so now we'll jump out of this PHP, and what we want to do now is go ahead and create a table, and we'll give that table a class of table condensed, make it as small as we can, and then we will do an ID. We'll set that, let's call that cart widget. Okay. Okay. So after we have our table, then we're not going to do any headers. We're just going to jump right into the body here. So we're going to say t body. Okay. And then what we want to do is we're going to say we'll do a for each. Okay. So in our body, we're going to open PHP tags, and we're going to say for each items as item, and then skip down a few lines here, and then we'll go ahead and also just end for each okay. So what we need to do is inside of our for each loop here, we're going to we need to query our database. So product queue is equal to db query, and then we're going to grab select star or select all from products where ID equals, we're just going to say item ID. Okay, so that's our query, and then we can just grab product. We'll say MySQLi fetch product queue. Alright, so for each one of those, we're going to do a row in our table. So tr okay, and we're just going to put 3 data cells in our table. Okay, the first one is just going to be a quantity, if you will, of how many we're getting, and so we're just going to echo out item quantity. Okay. The second thing that we want to have is, we want to have our product title. Now, there's a problem with this. Product titles can get pretty long, and this is just a little widget. So what we actually want to do is we're going to use a function that we haven't used yet, I don't think, in this series, and we're just going to use the substring. And what this is going to allow us to do is limit the amount of characters. So for the first parameter in this substring, here, what I'm going to do, oops, this needs to be on the outside, is just pass it that title, and then I'm going to start at the 0 characters, so that's the beginning, and then I'm going to end at 15. So this is going to be no longer than 15, or it's just going to cut it off. That way it doesn't break our table or look silly. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is put our subtotal here. So remember, we have that money function, so we'll just echo that out, and we're going to pass in item quantity, and then what we'll do is we will times that by product price. Okay, that's going to give us a subtotal for each line item. So let's just take a look at that now. Okay, we just have one product in our we have one product right now, and if I just go ahead and add this skirt, we'll add 2 of them, so 2 smalls. So now we have 2 long skirts, and they're $39.98 because they are $19.99 each, so that's correct. So looks good, except for this is breaking. I'm not sure why that is. That shouldn't do that. I should actually just, let's see, let's just break this down to like 6 just to see if this is working correctly. Okay, so that is working. Let's lengthen that to like 13. Okay. Oh, and we're going to do a little CSS too to this, so we'll put that back on 15. That's fine. Alright, so we don't have too much more to do, but after our for each here, I want to do something else. After the for each, I want to add another row, but actually inside of the for each, we're going to do a little bit of PHP, and what I want to do here is we will increment I. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say subtotal. Okay, and we will do plus equal, so that we're adding to it a number, and inside of there we're going to say item quantity times product price. Okay, so what that's going to do is just, it's going to actually, you know, we don't actually need these I iterators, and the reason I originally had those is because I was counting the line items inside the table, but it took up too much screen real estate, so we just get rid of that. But the reason what we're doing here is we're keeping a running total of all of the subtotals. Okay, so then what I can do is after the for each, we're going to do one more row, and so we'll just do a table row here, and we'll also, so this doesn't look bad, we will give it 3 cells. Alright, and we're not going to put anything in the first one. In the second one, we're just going to put subtotal, and then in the last one, we're going to echo out our money function, and we'll pass in our subtotal. Okay, so now if I refresh the page, we have a subtotal, and it adds these up for us. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to after our table, and still inside of our if statement, we want to add a link, and the link is going to point to cart.php. Okay, and we'll give that a class equal to button extra small. We'll make it blue by giving it button primary, and then we're also going to pull right. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and close that link, and we're going to say view cart. And then because I have that pull right, I like to go ahead and give a div here with class equal to clear fix, and I gotta spell that correctly, clear fix. Okay, that will take care of the floating issue that we're gonna have there. And I believe that is it for this widget. Yep, here's this, and if I click that, that should take us to our cart. So here's our cart. If I go back now, here we are here. So let's just go to that. So our widgets on every page. It's all looking pretty good. This text is way too big, so what I want to do is go ahead and look at our CSS for that really quickly. And let's see, let's go ahead and go back here, and we'll open up our CSS main.css, and at the very bottom we're just going to add some new CSS here. So we're going to say we gave that an ID of cart widget, and we're going to target our table data, and we're going to give it a font size of, let's say, 12 pixels. If I refresh it now, it makes that a little smaller, and I'm happy with that. I think that looks good. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add another widget right below this one. So let's jump into that, and that widget is really simple as well. It's going to be our recent widget. So we'll start with our H3 just like before. Okay, we'll go ahead and give this a class of text center, and we'll just say popular items. Underneath that, we're going to go ahead and open up PHP, go down a few lines and close it, and we're just going to look at our transactions. So we're going to run a query here, and we'll say db query. We're going to say select all from cart where paid equals 1, okay? And then we're going to order by ID descending, so it's going to take the last ones, and let's limit this to 5, the last 5 transactions. Okay. So then the next thing we're going to do is create an empty variable here. So, or I'm sorry, an empty array. So results will be an array. All right, and then we will do a while loop. We're going to say row equals MySQLi fetch associate array, and we'll pass it that trans q. Alright, then what we can do, open and close our curly braces, we're just going to put results. We're going to add to that results array a row. Alright, then we'll say after the while loop, we're going to say row count So we know how many we have here. So row count is going to be equal to trans q num rows. Okay, that will give us our number of results, and then we're going to keep track of our. We don't want to have, just in case, we don't want to put a bunch of the same items in this widget. We just want to show recent unique ones. So what we're going to do is create a used IDs, I guess, and we'll set that equal to an empty array. Okay, and then we'll do a for loop, and so we'll have an iterator. We'll set that to 0. We're going to say I is less than row count. Okay, and then we will just say I plus plus. Oops. Okay, and then in the for loop we'll open and close our curly braces there, and we're just going to say JSON items is equal to results, and we would pass in that iterator, so results I, and then we're going to grab items. So that's our JSON string. So then what we can do is just say items now is equal to JSON decode, and we'll pass in that JSON items and then true. Make sure we're getting an associative array back there, and then we can do a for each loop inside here. So we're going to say for each items as item. Okay, and then we're going to say if not in array. This is a PHP function. So if not in array, the first thing we're checking for is item, and then we will pass it in. We'll give it that ID. So we're saying if this ID, okay, is not in, oops, if that ID is not in the used IDs array, then we're going to add it. Okay, so we'll say used IDs equals item ID. So we're building up an array, and basically if it gets to another item that's already there, we will skip it. Okay, so once we have that, we can let's just get rid of this blank line here, get out of this PHP here, and we're going to create a div, and we're going to give this an ID equal to recent widget, because we will also change the font size of this as well. And what we're going to do is we'll do a table in this, and we'll say we'll give it a class table condensed. Okay, and then alright, once we have our table set up, we can do a PHP for each loop, and we're going to go ahead and break out of PHP. So we'll go down a couple lines here. Oops. And for each. Okay. So for each what? Well, we want to use used IDs now. So for each used IDs as ID. Then what are we going to do? Well, inside of this, let's go down here, and what I want to do is we're going to run product q db query. We'll say select all oops, I don't want to select all. Let's make this a little smaller. So let's say select ID and title from products where ID is equal to ID. So then we can just grab product now is equal to MySQL I fetch associative array, and then we'll pass it in that product queue. Alright, so inside of this for each loop now, we're going to do a new row in the table. Okay, and we're going to have just two. Okay, so we just do that, and then what I want to do is here we're going to echo out, and we'll do our substring again. Okay, so what do we want to echo out? Well, we're going to echo out our product title, and what we're going to do is limit that to 15 characters again. Alright, so that's that. And then what we want to do is I want to have a link, and we'll give this a class of text primary. Okay, and it's kind of a link, but we're not going to set a we're not going to set up a href on it. We're going to actually use an onClick event. So we're going to say onClick, and then we're going to say details modal, which is our JavaScript deal, and inside of that details modal function, we're just going to go ahead and echo out the ID. Alright, so what that's going to do then is create us some buttons. So let's just take a look at this. What we need to do is go to our right bar, and after this one we're just going to include widgets, and this one was called recent.php. So now if I refresh, we have popular items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have any duplicates, so that's good. We know that if statement's working. And then we have these links here, and if I click view, it opens that product up in our modal. So if people, hey, what's popular? Oh, these are popular. Princess dress. Well, we purchased one of those. Blouse, that's cool. So let's go ahead and make this text smaller. So we just need to simply go back to our main CSS, and we'll just actually add to this. We're gonna make it the same size. We'll do a comma, and we're gonna say recent widget. Alright, so that will also make the font size 12 pixels. And so now we have two little widgets here that are pretty cool. So let's go ahead and actually purchase something that's not on this list. How about these here? I'm going to add a pair of these. Alright, so we add that. So here's our coveralls here. So let's go ahead and view the cart, and I'm actually going to get rid of everything but those coveralls, and we'll check out. Alright. Check out. Got our thank you page. If I go back to the home page, my shopping cart's now empty, and those coveralls were the last thing purchased, so they are in the popular items list now. So if somebody can see what was sold recently by clicking view, it takes them right, it opens that product right on up in the details modal. It's not a problem. Well, cool. I probably won't add any more widgets on the right bar. We will add some filters and things on the left side to where we can filter things by brand, possibly, and price. But other than that, we'll just stick with that. And you guys can use your imagination to build any more widgets that you want here for the front end users. Probably some sort of ads or something like that. But that's totally up to you. I just wanted to show you kind of how that was done. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the series so far. I think what we're going to do in the next video is we may do these filters. It just depends how long it takes me. Or we're going to actually jump in and start building in the admin area right here. This is going to be a dashboard, and this can show us things like our recent sales, how much we've made this month, how much we made this year. We just add like a basic shop owner dashboard here, and even maybe some notices like, hey, that you're getting low on inventory on these products, and they can go and update them. So anyways, if you guys have enjoyed this series so far, please comment, like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good night.